tiny bit slower. We got a bluegrass lick in the key of G today. I'm a former student of ETSU's Bluegrass and Old Time Country Music program. This channel is dedicated to the idea that bluegrass guitar is not all that hard. You just have to chunk it down bit by bit, learn slowly. That way you can go and play this real rewarding style of music. If you like what you see here today and you'd like to go deeper in learning with me, check out my beginner-friendly bluegrass guitar course, Flatpick Foundations. The licks are going to be quite a bit easier than this. There's a little bit of theory, but it's a massive library of digestible bluegrass lessons that won't overwhelm you. There's on-screen tabs like you're going to see here today. In this lesson, I go nice and slow, so if you want to learn how to play this wonderful style of music without all the overwhelm, do check that out. There's information down below in the description. You can also just go to www.codymmusic.com. We're starting with this hammer-on from the 6th to the 7th fret on our high E string. All right, then we're going 8-6, sliding to the 5th fret there on the B string. All right. All right, we have another quick slide. Okay, and then watch what my middle finger does to hit the note after the slide to end this first part of the lick. It's right there, ready to roll, all right? And then all these notes, you can picture them ringing out together to give you that real bluegrass fluidity that makes it sound nice and full. Okay, so we go. All right, right at the very end, those two notes are ringing out together where we kind of end that first part. Okay, next I'm using my ring finger for this next part. Sliding from the 3rd to the 4th fret on our A string. Adding the power of those open notes here in the key of G to give us that nice, full bluegrass sound. All right, and then I'm going sliding. Some of you might find it easier to do this with your middle finger. I'd practice both ways. From the 1st to the 2nd fret to my root note G. All right, and then that's the start of a bluegrass G run to finish off the lick. All right, so you can think of this as, you know, having 4 parts here. It's 4 measures, basically. The last one's a G run. If you don't know about that lick, there's a free mini course down below you can check out. But let's just go through it again real quick. Okay, now let's chat about what is actually going on here that makes this sound like a bluegrass lick. So the two notes, I'm going to circle them there on your tab, and we start with one here, is that special B flat note, that flattened or minor third, you might hear it called both ways or referred to it both ways. This is the secret note in the key of G, or at least one of the secret notes, that really gives us that bluegrass flair. So right away, we're using that special note twice. Okay, and furthermore, you know, when we think of bluegrass music as being a very note-filled style of music that revolves around hammer-on, pull-offs, and slides, we're getting a lot of slides in this lick. In fact, this lick is very slide-heavy. All right, and those slides really bring out that bluegrass real estate that I always chat about here on this channel. And that's basically, you know, I'm talking about intervals, I'm talking about musical concepts, but I like to break it down in a way that you can understand. And it's just these little movements, these slides that really give us what we need in terms of bluegrass sound here. All right, so for the second part of the lick, I'm sliding from the 3rd to the 4th fret with my ring finger. I'm going down, down, up. Okay, and here's the second B flat note that I'm using twice with this slide. Okay, that's like, you can practice that in and itself to make sure that those notes sound and resonate out the way they need to, with that slide being really emphasized to my root note G. All right, but that's that other B flat note. So there's one right here, 6th fret. Okay. And then right there, right here twice. And And as a general rule, when we integrate that special B flat note in, and the more you study bluegrass guitar and other things, you'll learn that there's intervals that kind of fit into the same relevancy as terms of giving us that bluegrass real estate. But there, digging into that slide, a lot of bluegrass. And then from there, that is our bluegrass G run. But now you might be asking yourself, like, what's the best way to practice this? So I like to recommend doing this in a number of different ways. First off, it's important, with bluegrass music, we tend to follow this down-up picking pattern. I think that trying to implant that on brand new licks every single time is not the best way to learn. What I recommend doing is just trying to play the lick and getting the sound connected to your fingertips, regardless of what technique you use. Just try to get the motion down. Then, once you progress, you can integrate that down-up picking pattern where you're basically alternating between a downstroke and an upstroke on your pick, okay? But here's a crazy story. I was watching one of those short form videos the other day that popped up, and it was telling a story about how a passenger landed an airplane without knowing how to land an airplane. It was one of those instances to where like the pilot passed out or had a heart attack or something, I forget. But he was able to land the plane because he had a specific set of instructions from the air traffic control officer. Where am I getting here? Well, in my paid course, Flatpick Foundations, it gives you structured curriculum that's growing over time on how to play this style of music. I really believe that a lot of the teachers online mean well, but like none of us are Tony Rice and we can't play every lick like Billy Strings. What we can do is break down the licks in a way where you take something away each lesson and then you can go apply it to your playing and really get a lot of value out of just learning slowly but consistently rather. And so that's what it's like inside of Flatpick Foundations on-screen tabs. If you've ever said you can't learn how to play this style of music, I think you really can. I just think that it's often communicated in a way that scares players away. And so that's what happened to me anyway. And so that's why I went and made this course after the fact, because I want to give people an entryway into this style of music. It's very cool and rewarding when you finally land these licks. And so I want to share that with you guys. Check it out down below. You're gonna get a lot of value. I promise you're gonna learn something in there. Folks, like and subscribe to this channel. We will see you on the next video. Take care, bye-bye.